So I've been going crazy lately. Sold a company, started a new company. Still running Blackwater, doing all kind of stuff. Had another kid, or had a little kid grow up more since the last time I've been on here. Anyways, long story short, um, just jacking around this morning on the iPhone and saw the YouTube icon. I clicked on the YouTube icon and noticed that we had like a crap more followers than we had when we were trying to do the Blackwater YouTube. And it was over 2,000 people now. And when I was making these videos constantly, it was like 300, 400 people were our subscribers, whatever. And so then I started looking at like all of our analytics were up, video views, comments, all this different kind of stuff. And the thing that most people were interested in was like the how to earn a living in the outdoor industry. And so I thought that was a good video when we did it, or when I did it, over a year ago, but hell, maybe even 2 years ago now. But anyways, I noticed that one was like getting fresh comments and everything was cool, except for there was some jackass named Stuart, I think, that was like ragging me about they already know how to work hard, and I suck at doing this or explaining about this, and the the same old repeated lines of like, I know how to do all this, you're not helping, you're not giving anything to show us how to actually start up a company, it's a waste of time. I mean, just a whole plethora of stuff. One guy tried to say that they wouldn't give 10 cents to hunt with my company because I'm talking about hunting, and I say we shoot X amount of deer per year, but I don't have any videos of that, which it's all a bunch of crap. But anyways, I decided I would come back and rock and roll with some more of these. I miss doing this, and I don't know why. Actually, I do know why we stopped. We tried to switch over to the Wild U. Jancy and I started doing that. We got into some other stuff. It got to be too much. And so I'd like to come back and start talking about this stuff and helping people if this is what they want to do, helping people come on and figure out how to do this. So what I'll end up doing is I'm going to go through the different ways that you can do this. So we'll start with, and I'll break these off into multiple videos, but you'll have owning an outfitting business, you'll have earning a living as a guide, you'll have creating a product and selling a product in the outdoor industry, and we'll have social media. All four of those I have experience with, so I will talk on them. Other than that, all I can say about this is we're going to start with the outfitting side of it. And Stuart, my friend or foe or hater or whatever you want to be, this video is for you, bud. All right? So I'm going to break it down pretty simple. I'll go through it as quick as possible. But if you're going to do a startup in the outdoor industry as an outfitter, here's your steps. Step one, you're going to have some form of license. Now in the state of Texas, it's a catch-22, because in the state of Texas, I do believe we should have guides and outfitter licenses, but we do not. So that makes it super simple for people. In the state of Texas, all you have to have is a hunting license, a valid Texas hunting license. If you've got that, that's all you need. There's no such thing as a quote-unquote guides or outfitters license for hunting in the state of Texas. Now, fishing's a different story, but as far as hunting goes, if you have your general hunting license, then you can sell and run hunts. That's part one. Part two, step two, is going to be, you obviously need a place to hunt. That happens multiple different ways. So my situation, okay, you can either, I won't say my situation, but how I do stuff. There's three different ways that you can have land. You can either own land or have family land that you can run hunts on. The second part of that is you can lease land. So, there's a plethora of websites across the state of Texas that have landowners putting out their property for lease. Now, a lot of them don't want to work with outfitters, so that does cause some problems, but a lot of them are willing, some of them are willing to work with outfitters. The way the lease program works is, they're most of the time, if you're getting a large tract of land, they're going to do it per acre. In Texas, we have just a wide variety, depending on where you are, on what it's going to cost you per acre to lease that property. Some of your bigger country up north, you might find, if you're working specifically with the landowner, you might find stuff for $5, $6, $7 an acre, that you can lease the entire property. If you're going through a lease broker, they're probably going to double that, so you might be at 10, 12, $14 an acre for them up there. If you're trying to find something down around the hill country, or the land is smaller tract of land that they're still leasing per acre, you're probably looking at something in the $20 to $30 an acre range, to lease. The highest I've ever seen was $80 an acre, to lease a place. Now, when you lease per acre, you're leasing outright. So you're leasing the entirety of the ranch and the species. And of course, there's deals you're making with the landowner on that. They might tell you, a lot of times I'll go in and I'll say, okay, I don't mind the lease per acre price. Could you tell me what your harvest quota is? That's how you figure out if the property is profitable or not. And so, let's just throw out some random numbers here and say that you've got a 1,000-acre piece of property, and it's got whitetail, pigs, and turkey on the property. Okay, and the landowner wants $10 an acre. So you're at $10,000 right there for that property. And then you decide or he tells you what his harvest quota is, and he comes back and he says, look, I'd like to take no more than 4 trophy bucks, no more than 4 management bucks, no more than 4 does. You can take all the pigs you want, and I want to take no more than 8 turkeys off of my place. Okay, so that's what you have. Now you got to go in and you look at, here's the numbers I have. I know right off the bat, let's say that we're getting an average of $2,500 for, or let's say you're getting $3,000 for a trophy whitetail hunt. You're getting $2,000 for a management whitetail hunt. Your does are going to get ate up in that as a package deal. You're getting whatever, $500 for a 2-night pig hunt, and you're getting $1,500 for a 2-bird turkey hunt. So we'll use those as our numbers. So on the deer, we've got 4 trophy bucks. That's going to give us $12,000. We've got 4 management bucks. That's going to give us another 8. So there's $20,000 there. Let's say we're going to run about 10 hog hunts throughout the year on that place. That's $5,000. So now we're at $25,000. And then we've got 8 turkeys, but we're going to do our package hunt, 2 per piece at $1,500 a piece. So that's going to give us another $6,000, and that's going to put us at $31,000 gross money that we can make off of that property. And then we've got to start taking it down from there. So you've got a $10,000 lease. You've got whatever we said, around $30,000. You subtract that, you're already at $20,000 would be your gross net. Now we've got to look at, how are we going to make this as profitable as possible? Are you going to run everything yourself, or are you going to hire guides to help you do this? If you're hiring guides to help you do this, you got to figure that guides are working right now at an average of probably $250 a day for their guiding. So basically on a 3-day hunt, you're losing $750 off each one of those. So you're going to knock yourself on down each time you do that, which means you're probably going to need to book big groups. So when you do your 4 whitetail hunts, it would benefit you to do all 4 trophy hunts at the same time, so that your guide is making $750 or $1,000, depending on how many days you do it, as opposed to on all 4 hunts, and you've got a X amount of profit, as opposed to them doing it each one and you having to pay each one of those, and drastically decreasing your profit. If you're doing it, by yourself, then you obviously have taken that out of the equation. You've also got to look at, are you offering these clients lodging and meals? If you're doing that, that's another expense you have. In Blackwater, we're looking at a cost of about $50 per person. On a 2-day hunt, it's going to cost about $50 per person to feed them throughout that hunt. So if you've got 4 people there hunting, you can figure that you're going to spend a minimum of $200 on groceries. Grocery prices have gone through the roof now, so it's actually more than that. If I got a 4-man hunt, or a 4-man hunt on a 2-night stay, 3-day, 2-night type hunt, you're looking, I'm averaging about $300. You know, it'd be about $300 that I would spend on that in groceries. That's a, you know, simple breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, and a decent supper, and then snacks, drinks throughout the day. You also have to take into consideration that you're going to need, you know, are you going to set up blinds and you're going to set up feeders? If you're going to do that, then you also have corn and you know, that you're bringing in, or you're going to feed protein, whatever it is. So you really have to get out a piece of paper. There's no exact formula on that. We could work it out. It works out a little different for each property. But you could go through on each property and you figure out total. This is how much that I could gross off of this property. This is what the property cost me. Here's my actual net gross. The actual point forward, you're trying to figure out what other expenses you would have coming out of that to see what your profitability is. You have to keep in mind that that one property, that 1,000 acres, you've got whitetail, you've got hogs, you've got turkeys. So you've just spread yourself out from October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. You've got 8 months there. When it's all said and done, if your net profitability on that whole entire property, excluding your tips, comes out to, let's say, $8,000, is it worth it to you to make $1,000 a month off of that piece of property? Now, you also have to take into effect your fuel, all this kind of stuff, your time away from home, and you really got to figure it out to, at the end of the day, just like any other job, what am I making per hour to do this job? So that's how it would work on a outright lease type situation. Now, you can get into some that have a plethora of species that you're making extra money on. You might lease a big place up north that's got whitetail, mule deer, possibly could pick up some pronghorn tags. Maybe it's got some aoudad that are exotic on there that have no limits in those seasons. Maybe it's got some javelinas and hogs, so you can double up there. Maybe it's got a good bobcat or fox population or coyotes where you can run some predator hunts. That type of stuff adds up in the long run. You're getting your extras off of that. So a lot of times the way it works out is you're looking at it on those big lease properties as, do my mainstay, does my whitetail, whatever my number one big game species is, if it's whitetail a lot of times, does my whitetail pay for the lease and the expenses in its entirety and the other species become profit? If so, how much profit am I making off those other species? And at that point, is it equate to a good enough dollar per hour rate that I'm willing to take on that? Because you also have to remember that on these leases, you're not paying at the end of the year, you're paying up front. So your cash out of pocket right off the bat, it's a scary time. Are you going to be able to make that back? Do you have the ability to sell those hunts? The next type of lease would be basically what we call a animal contract, a per contract type deal. When you get on those, you know, it's fairly self-explanatory. You're going to a ranch, the landowner's probably charging you a daily trespass fee or a nightly fee to stay in their lodge, use their facilities, and then they're charging you per animal. When it comes to that, it's just wholesale retail. So you're looking at that from the side of animal cost me X, how much do I need to make on top of that, to, at this point, you're not paying a lease payment, but you are still paying either guide fee or your own daily wages. You are still paying the lodging fee that comes with that place that you're having to pay the landowner first and foremost. And you're also having to pay for your fuel, any, you know, if you're bringing extra corn or protein or some type of attractant out there, you're paying for that. You're paying for the groceries for your clients, stuff like that. So you have to figure out what that margin is that you're happy with to be able to do that. And you have to stay reasonably competitive with the other outfitters in your market. That, you know, has been crazy as of late, and we've seen the outdoor industry, we've seen the guided hunting industry, prices go through the roof. A lot of that has to do with technology nowadays, and the fact that landowners that once just wanted a price for an animal or a price for their land, they've seen now online how much money that animal husbandry is bringing just for raising the exotics when it comes to that type of stuff, or the whitetail when it comes to that type of stuff. How much money people have been willing to pay to come hunt these things. The landowners see that. The landowners want that retail price for their wholesale price, and therefore your retail price as an outfitter must go up. The price goes up to the consumer. Prices are really high right now. Your margins have to be able to stay the same, because just because the price goes up, if you're not making the same margin, everything else has gone up, your margin goes down, you go out of business. So basically you have really those two type of options when it comes to leasing stuff. You're either leasing outright, which is the per acre price, or you're doing the per contract, or, animal contract. Along with those same lines on the leasing outright, you also have situations where you will find landowners that want you to pay per hunter. So they'll come out and they'll say, I'll have, could be the same situation. It kind of works out possibly to the same numbers as the lease outright sometimes. Sometimes leasing outright's better, but they might come to you and say, look, on my 1,000 acres, I want 4 spots, or they'll say 4 guns is a term you'll hear a lot. Need 4 guns at $2,500 a gun. That means it's $10,000 to do it. And they'll tell you each person could take a trophy buck, a management buck, a doe, unlimited pigs, and 2 turkeys. Well, you come out to the same as you would leasing it out for $10 an acre. So you kind of got to find the happy medium in there. What works best for you, what works best for the landowner. The most serious or important approach in that is how you build that relationship with the landowner to, 1, get your foot in the door, but 2, to also be able to secure that and keep them happy through the process. Because if you do a good job as an outfitter, which is all the stuff that we talked about doing in the first video that the majority of the people liked and people like Stuart didn't like, but not to step on Stuart's toes, but if you are able to be a hard worker, be, confident in your abilities, put people on the animals, allow them to have a great time and get them wanting to come back, then when you roll into that next season, you better have a great relationship, or have built a great relationship with that landowner, so that he doesn't decide he's going to lease the property to somebody else. Because your clients that had a really good time there last year, they're going to want to come back next year. And if you don't have that property, that's a whole nother step you have to go through to find a new property, to keep those guys excited about seeing a new place, or to trust that you're going to provide the same quality experience that you did the year before. So that's step 2, is locating your property. Now, if you are somebody that's blessed to have a family, or yourself has purchased property, or your family has property that you're able to run these hunts on, you've got the best case scenario. If you're thinking, I would like to get into the outdoor industry, I would like to be an outfitter, and my parents have 5,000 acre ranch that has all these animals on it, and this is what I want to do, then you've kind of, you've got what we call the golden ticket. You've kind of hit a home run. You've got your normal expenses of, you're the landowner now. So either you've worked somebody out with whoever in your family is actually in charge of the property, or you yourself understand that you're going to have to pay property taxes and you're going to have the upkeep cost of that. But when it comes to animals, you're basically just going on a quote unquote industry standard replacement cost, to know that this is the value of that animal and this is what I need to sell the animal at to be profitable. You've got it made in the aspect that you're not having to go find a landowner and do the landowner dealings. So you've cut that step out. And oftentimes you're able to even give the hunts at a smaller price, a lower price than some outfitters are, simply because you've taken the middleman out of the equation, and you don't have to, your margins can be the same as an outfitter's margin while keeping the price lower. So you're still making just as much money, and a lot of clients really, really appreciate that. Moving on to the next part. So first, you've got to have your license. Second, you've got to have a place to hunt. Third, you've got to have clients. Finding clients in this day and age, especially in the Texas industry, is ridiculously hard. We have worked our butt off to have a really good website, and that brings in a ton of traffic. We try very hard to do stuff like this to keep our social media up, which has helped quite a bit. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. But what you need to realize is that all ties back into your cost of doing business, or in another company of mine that's more product related, we would call it COGS, cost of goods sold. And so that's, you have to keep that in mind. There's a client acquisition cost in everything you do. Now, if you're blessed to be extremely good at social media, or a coder that can build just a fantastic website, you know, or you just have a ton of money that you can throw at this without, you know, as an initial startup, without worrying about that, then it makes client acquisition a little bit easier on you. But you're going to have to pound the pavement. And by that, I mean, you're going to have to post daily. And you've got to figure out what your niche is, while you're posting. You know, what do you have that you're going to be able to provide very good quality with? Is it your whitetail hunt? Do you feel like that you're going to have the best bang for buck on whitetail hunts? Or maybe it's turkey, or maybe it's pigs, or whatever it is. Whatever that niche is that you're trying to fall in to get your foot in the door, you got to start hard out of the gates with that one, and you have to really, really focus on that to build a brand for yourself in that business. Video content creation is huge. You have to be careful at the same time nowadays, because the internet and social media does not like kill shots on anything anymore. So you have to be able to get your views up in a manner that allows these social media platforms to allow you to grow and continue posting. It sucks. You know, it's just, it's part of the culture now, but you have to play by those rules if you want to grow it in that manner. Facebook and Facebook ads are an extremely good bang for your buck right now. I don't know how many of y'all know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, but he's a firm believer that the most value in advertising right now is in Facebook ads. And so, you know, that's a good place to start there. Build a really nice portfolio of what you have to offer and offer it there in that Facebook ad system. Instagram, if you can grow an Instagram account, absolutely fantastic. Okay, Instagram probably has the most loyal following of any platform that we have. TikTok, you can go viral fast on TikTok if you do the right things on there, and that gets a lot of people viewing your stuff. YouTube, as I know, can be an extremely slow start, but you do have good interaction with that. And I've had a lot of clients that have said, when I was researching axis deer, I came across your YouTube page, I watched your stuff, I liked what you had to say, I wanted to hunt with you. And so that's great. But the number one thing overall is word of mouth. You have to get with your friends, you have to get with your family, you have to let them know what you're doing, you have to get them to reach out to people in their circle and try to get people back to you. Once you get that going, you've got a license now, you've got a place to hunt, you're starting to acquire clients. Now you have to set yourself up business-wise to be successful. It's extremely smart to start yourself an LLC. I would not suggest doing a DBA or anything like that. I would actually form yourself a company. An LLC is cheap to do. You can do it on LegalZoom, or you can go to your local courthouse and get somebody to help you do there. If you're blessed enough to be able to afford a lawyer, you know, they're able to do it and get you set up there. A lot of times your CPA will do it, and then that would be part two. Make sure you have a good CPA. You're going to need to know how to write off anything that you use for the business and do it legally and correctly. You're going to need to know how you can pay yourself and what you should be paying yourself and how much money to keep into the company so that you can continue to grow. You got to build yourself a cushion financially so that next year, when it's time for those leases to come available, you have the money to purchase your leases again, and you don't get behind the eight ball. That seems to be the number one killer that I see of, young or startup outfitters in the Texas industry is we all have what you call a deposit, right? So you're taking a deposit to ensure that the client's going to be there. That's kind of your security blanket. What ends up happening is we have a lot of young or startup outfitters in the Texas industry that take those deposits and they spend that money before the hunt ever comes. They end up running themselves dry in a bank account, and then it's inevitable when the hunts start rolling in, you never make as much as you thought you were going to make because something always comes up, or you take a big hit somewhere, or clients don't show up, or guys get out there and something bad happens and you have to make a deal with them, and then you turn around and you realize you've done all this for nothing, or you can't even afford to pay for X, or whatever it may seem, and you end up robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's a bad place to be in business, and that is the utmost killer of most outfitters or startup outfitters in the Texas hunting industry. I can assure you of that. So do that. Build your LLC, whatever that may be. Get your website going, get your social media going to acquire the clients, get the LLC done, get yourself a good accountant. You know, and especially in a startup business like this, your accountants will be cheap because you're not having to file a bunch of stuff, and you don't need tons and tons of time on the phone or advice from them. And most of them are pretty friendly. You don't have to go to a huge accounting firm, but find a local accountant that is willing to work with you on a small business type deal. And then get them to help you set up your budget, your map, your game plan of how you're going to grow this business. And then be very frugal with your money while you're doing this. Understand what it costs you to make this happen. Only spend that amount of money. Take as little as you can out of the company when you're first starting. I tried to live off my tips, right? Most people that are hunting are very generous in their tips. Most of them are going to tip 10 to 20% of the gross hunt cost. So you might have worked in a factor of $1,000, you know, as a profit margin on your one-man hunt, and the hunt might be $3,000, and so you've got $1,000 profit built into that. Next thing you know, you finish the hunt, the guy's had a great time, he pays you, he hands you an extra $500-600 as a tip. Try to live off that tip. Put that profit back into your company so that next year, as your client grows, your client base grows, because it will if you're doing a good job. You know, when Johnny comes the first year by himself and he has a blast, he's probably going to bring 2 or 3 more with him next year, and that continues to grow, and those become repeat customers, and that's where your baseline is on your customer basis. So if you're able to put, you know, let's say you don't save any money and you spend it all, and then you had 10 clients this year on this one place, you've spent all your money, you've got a new ride and all this stuff that you thought you needed but you really didn't. Next year, all 10 of those clients bring 3 back with them. You've got 30 instead of 10. You've got nowhere to hunt them and no money right now to go purchase additional leases or buy bigger property or make connections with a better landowner. It's very important that you find a way to be frugal in the first few years. Live off that tip money. You know, make sure you got enough to pay your bills and get yourself by. Build that cushion in your business so that you can expand the business to the point that at some point in time, you got 2, 3, 4, 500 clients that are coming in. You're able to take an actual salary off the company and build the company at the same time. That's the key to actually growing a big business, making a good living in the outfitting world. So basically, what you've got there is getting your license, finding your land, whether it be lease, own, or contract per animal, getting your client acquisition, setting up your website, your social media, all that, and posting daily on that. You need to get on a schedule on that. Do an Instagram, do a Facebook, do a TikTok once each day. On your website, make sure that you're constantly updating that. If you change a price that you're telling clients, make sure you go change the price on the website. And then, you know, with the website, make sure you have a very good scheduling platform on there. We use a secretary. We have 2 people that do office work for us, and they handle all the booking, all the callbacks, all that. While you're running, rocking and rolling, running the business out there in the field hunting, You don't have time necessarily to be taking phone calls. And, you know, if you're taking phone calls trying to sell another hunt, then you're actually taking away from the customer that's there paying you in the first place. So it's good to have a way that people can remain communicated with without you taking away from other clients. Because you have to be fast with this. Remember, there's thousands of outfitters out there. There's thousands of places to go hunting. If somebody writes in and says, hey, Bill, I want to come hunting with Bill's Guide Service, and you don't respond to them within 24 hours, sometimes within 12 hours, they've already found another hunt, because there's hungry guys out there and gals out there that are willing to take that hunt immediately. So you have to have a process to get that set up. That goes in with your client acquisition. So do your social media post, do all that stuff. Make sure you have a good scheduling thing, whether it be on your website or somebody in-house that's helping you answer those calls and return the calls in a timely manner. Get yourself a good deposit rate that you're setting that aside. In your deposit rate with your accountant, be sure to set up 2 accounts. You got one account that's your operating expenses. You got another account that's your deposits. Don't touch that deposit account. Don't touch the deposit account. I can't say that enough. A guy sends you $1,000 deposit, it goes in there. When the guy's hunt's over and everything's good and done and paid for, you can move that money over into your operating expenses, and now that money's actually yours. Until that point, that money's not yours. That money is his for his hunt until his hunt is, or her hunt is completed. Do not touch your deposit money. That's the #1 killer of outfitters in our state for sure. All right, get all that set up. Get your financials set up, be frugal with how you do it, and then, like we talked about in part 1, ultimately provide a good service. Go above and beyond. Under promise, over deliver. That's how you make a good name for yourself. Tell them you're going to do the best you can. If you're hunting axis and you've got 50 30-inch axis out there and one 36-inch axis, don't go tell everybody that you got a 36-inch axis, and don't go post pictures of a bunch of 36-inch axis. Be realistic with your clients on what they can expect to harvest when they come out with you. You've seen a 170-inch whitetail, but you know that you're probably averaging a 135-inch whitetail out there. Let one guy be surprised and smoke a 170-inch whitetail, and let that be advertising for you. But don't go advertise yourself that you've got all these 170-inch whitetail when you know the majority of your whitetail out there are going to be 135 inches. Be realistic, under promise, over deliver. Work your butt off. Like we talked about in video 1, get up early, make sure they got coffee. Got your breakfast going after the morning hunt. Keep the dishes washed, keep the place clean. Somebody gets one down, make sure you're there with the camera to take pictures. Make them feel good about it. Get it over to the skinning rack in a timely manner. Take care of the animal. Clean it properly. Get it hung up properly. Help them with their coolers. Have whatever they need to drink afterwards. Be a customer service. This is a customer service business. Be great at customer service. At the end of the trip, take your tip money. Don't be upset if you don't get tip money. Work your butt off knowing that the tip money is what you're living off of. Take that tip money if you get it. Use that money to spend. If you don't get tip money, figure out what you did wrong to possibly not get it. There's situations where guys save every nickel and dime they have to come hunting, and they just can't afford to give a tip, and that's something that you can't get jaded about. You just got to let it roll off your back. But the guys that are there, that do have the money, that do tip you for your service, use that money in your daily life for your expenses. Keep the other stuff in there as your cushion. Work on growing your business. Set goals for yourself that this year my cushion needs to be $15,000. Next year I want my cushion to be $30,000. And that's your bottom line mark. You got $30,000 in the bank. That's the same as having 0 in the bank. Build up from that point forward. That's how you build the business to be able to pay yourself a salary one day and earn a good living as an outfitter in whatever state you might be in. Hope you guys appreciated that. We'll be back shortly with the next part in this series, which will be how to earn a living as a guide. Then we'll go into the next one, how to earn a living building a product, a hunting product in the outdoor industry, and then finally, how to earn a living off social media in the hunting industry. And at some point, if you're doing them all, you can put them all together and you can earn a living for all 4 steps of that. You guys have a great day. Please put all your comments in the comment section below, or questions in the comment section below, If you have specific ones, I'd be happy to answer them. As always, you can write into us at bwgsinfo@gmail.com, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.